All right, first fight we're going over is going to be Ismael Bonfim versus Vinc Pichel. So this fight's very interesting. We have a drastic age difference to start off. Ismael Bonfim, 28 years old. Vinc Pichel is 41 years old. Biggest thing with Vinc Pichel here is a guy who has appeared to have had a promising career in the UFC. Was on the Ultimate Fighter back in 2012, did well, only lost to Al Iaquinta, the fucking real estate agent back in 2012. But other than that, obviously winning 3 out of your 4 fights on the Ultimate Fighter live season is going to impress Dana and the rest of the fucking higher ups. So he got a contract. And he's been in the UFC ever since 2012, but he has had a lot of fucking injuries and a lot of time off as a result that has severely destabilized his career, unfortunately. After he lost his debut, being suplexed and knocked unconscious as a result and punched in the fucking head by Rustam Kabalov in December 2012, to add insult to fucking injury, he also tore his bicep and labrum. And so he was out from December 15th, 2012, when Vinc Pichel made his debut in the UFC, all the way until January 15th of 2014. Won his next 2 fights by unanimous decision against Garrett Whiteley and Anthony Njokuani, and then another huge layoff due to another huge injury. I think it was another hip injury, I believe, forced him to take 2014 up until June 2017 off. Huge time off, but came back, won yet again by KO. Had another fight, unanimous decision 2018, was trying to be active 2018, 19, 20, and then the injury bug bit again, and he's basically fought literally once a year since 2019. Actually, yeah, since 2019, he's fought once a year. Once in 2019, once 2020, once 2021, once 2022, none. No fights in 2023. He's coming off a unanimous decision loss to Mark Madsen, April 2022, so 2-year layoff Vinc Pichel's already looking at. And, no shame in losing to Mark Madsen, but overall, yeah, it's really hard to know what Vinc Pichel could have been having lost so much of his prime due to such severe injuries that resulted in years off, Fucking Kirk Cousins is out here tearing fucking Achilles and taking horse meat and shit and coming back in 10 months and everybody's acting like he's the fucking savior of the Falcons. Poor Vinc Pichel is tearing a fucking bicep and missing 3 years. Like, what the fuck gives? So anyway, there's things to give you hope about Vinc Pichel. Roosevelt Roberts, that's decent. Jim Miller, that's a good win. Austin Hubbard, not bad. Rest of these guys that have already went over, I don't even think they're in the fucking UFC. That's unfortunate. Al Iaquinta definitely isn't. Al Iaquinta fucking sucks. Sorry if you like him, but this is my goddamn show. This is Ben's show. And if Al Iaquinta fucking sucks, then he sucks. I'm sorry he sold you a fucking house. Deal with it. He's a better realtor than he ever was a fighter. But anyway, back to the nature at hand. Ismael Bonfim, Book It Dano. There's not much to really go over. The drastic age difference, the ridiculous amounts of years and years of Vinc Pichel's prime wasted due to injury, where he probably couldn't even do much training, let alone actual fighting. That leads to less skill acquisition, less practice, less hours in the gym, fucking et cetera, you name it. I shouldn't have to explain to anybody how fucking debilitating injuries like that take such a severe derailment of your career, how debilitating those are in every fucking aspect. So, Bonfim's the guy with momentum. The only thing that he has going against him is he's coming off a round 1 rear naked choke loss to Benoit Saint-Denis. But I get that Benoit Saint-Denis is not the shiny new fucking toy anymore, and a lot of people are ready to cast him off to the side just because he lost to Dustin Poirier. But before that, Bonfim was, on a fucking tear for his young UFC career. He's only been in the UFC since September of 2022, and he won that fight by unanimous decision. Beautiful flying knee knockout of Terrence McKinney, highlight real shit. So, very young career, a lot of momentum, a lot of youth on his side, hasn't had much inactivity, thankfully. Pretty decent, record 19-4 with no contest at his young age. So, he's not lacking in experience and shit. He almost has as many fucking fights as Vinc Pichel himself. actually he has more because, yeah, he has more fucking fights than Vinc Pichel, even though Vinc Pichel is way fucking older than him. So there you go. He has more experience. I'm just giving you more shit to pick Bonfim with as I'm going through this, and you're going to fucking hate me at the end once I tell you the odds, but I can't with a clean conscience tell you to bet on fucking Vinc Pichel just because the odds are a little fucky. I have to be honest with you and have integrity, unlike our competitors out there. You know who you are. But anyway, all this to fucking say, I don't really need to waste your time, my time, or anybody else's time telling you why Ismael Bonfim is a fucking, safe, smart choice on this fucking card against Vinc Pichel. But I am sorry, and I regret to inform you, Bonfim is a minus 470. Pichel is a plus 360, but let's be real. That is because of all the things that I just discussed to you. So to take the edge off of that in some way, shape, form, or fucking fashion, if I could see KO, TKO odds on this bad boy, I'd like to take that. I think that's a pretty safe bet. He has some pretty good striking. It's very dynamic. Like I said, it leads to highlight real shit, like knocking out Terrence McKinney with a flying knee. Pichel's not going to have the athleticism, the speed, the reactions, etc. to keep up with that. That's kind of how I see this playing out. What do you think, Ben?
I think that's a fantastic breakdown, Bobby. You did your research, man. The only thing is you said he is 41. That is actually incorrect. That's what it's listed for the UFC side. If you go into the archives and find his birth certificate, he's actually born in 1921. That's why he looks like those guys that had those circle barbells. Those circus
old-time Italian strongman.
Yes, yeah, he's back from that time. So he was cryo frozen, and then they unfroze him to come fight in the UFC. So he's actually over 100 years old. But we'll say 41 because that's been his wake walking around years. You're absolutely correct. I think Pichel, he's got low hands, and when he does throw, he throws slow and he moves backwards. So he's prey. He's prey, especially for a guy that attacks forward. Is very accurate striker. I think that Bonfim his strike defense is pretty elite. I believe it was over like 70%, which you don't see that in the UFC. Guys over 70% strike defense, that's really high. He's got a good takedown defense too. I'm also gonna be on Bonfim, and I'm also gonna be on the knockout. Take him down.
You better start listening to the Better in Green podcast. You will not regret it. Trust me, trust me, trust me. And hey, I'm Dean Blandino.
Welcome to Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? Listen in and cash out. That's what it's all about. Come on, let's make cash now. We always on spot and we cover all spot from the bottom to the top, eh? Shout out to Ethan, shout out to Wyatt, shout out to Ben. Welcome to our podcast, Better in Green.